If you make kids' TV shows and one of your episodes looks like this, or like this, or this, be prepared for it to get banned. Don't believe me? I've got like 20 examples of this happening, starting with... This Teletubbies episode had one person calling it the greatest horror film of all time. The infamous sketch called The Lion and the Bear starts with a creepy off-screen voice taunting the Teletubbies, declaring that they're a bear and they're coming. So the Teletubbies run away. Already not what you're supposed to do when being approached by a brown bear. After a long moment of suspense, the bear with brown fuzzy hair reveals itself as a cardboard cutout on a longboard. The bear speaks in rhymes, flexing their hiding skills, making funny faces, and then confessing they're hiding from an even scarier lion. Think about it from the kid's perspective. You're already scared of the bear, and now you're told there's an even scarier animal out there? That's trauma squared. Then, with storm clouds rolling in, the terrifying roars of a lion echo across Teletubby land. Finally, the scary lion with big scary teeth reveals himself, and he's also made of cardboard and also has a sick longboard. You won't have me scared of some cardboard animals, but when you remember that the Teletubbies' target audience is kids all the way down to 1 year old, you absolutely cannot be putting this weirdo's face in front of them. Parents were furious when this segment first aired in 1997, flooding PBS with complaints that it was way too scary for preschoolers. PBS banned the episode in the US, and 4 years later, the BBC followed, removing the short as well. The sketch was then modified with more cheerful music, the bear's voice more jolly, and the Teletubbies' reactions more excited from seeing the bear and lion instead of scared. But for a generation of kids, the damage was done. Redditors recalled this childhood trauma in a thread, saying the sketch was the bane of my nightmares. Haunted me for years. Sometimes the absolute worst thing you can do is give fans exactly what they think they want. This cartoon horse had no name and no dialogue, then the creators gave her both and immediately regretted that decision. In the My Little Pony cinematic universe, online fans had a favorite background character. She had no official name and never spoke in the show, but the online crowd affectionately named her Derpy for her cross-eyed look, which was actually the result of an animation error. In season 2, the creators wanted to give those fans a tip of the cap, so they gave the pony a speaking role in an episode and had another character call her by her fan-given name of Derpy. But once she stepped out of the background, her cross-eyed appearance, clumsy behavior, and slightly slurred speech became front and center, and suddenly some of those same fans thought this was wildly offensive. This controversy, known as Derpygate, basically split the fandom into two groups: 100 people with pitchforks and everybody else wondering why anyone was holding pitchforks. An online petition requesting the show change Derpy's name argued that it was very hurtful and pro-bullying. That petition gained 136 signatures. Meanwhile, other counter petitions demanding the name remain unchanged received over 40,000. The writer of the episode, who actually has a disabled son, shared that while she received around 200 positive emails from fans, she also got about 10 negative messages. She said that the character's original name was supposed to be Ditsy Doo, but she was asked to change it for the sake of fan service without realizing it was perceived as an offensive term. The episode was taken off the air until the scene could be redone, with the character's eyes redrawn, her voice redubbed, and her name just not spoken at all. This pleasant stop-motion kids show created genuine nightmare fuel. Just do a quick search of Pingu's Dream and you'll find countless stories from now grown adults who are still haunted by their intro to Lovecraftian horror through this claymation penguin. It starts off sweet. After a nice little bedtime story from mom, Pingu's peaceful sleep is interrupted by his igloo lifting up and flying away. He's left defenseless in the Antarctic wilderness when his bed starts acting up, dragging him away from his home and straight towards unspeakable horror. On this trek, he catches the attention of the most cursed-looking walrus I've ever seen. What in the is that? The walrus quietly lurks in the background, stalking Pingu while he's still dealing with his disobedient sentient bed, until the walrus gives Pingu the jump scare of his life. Now in the grasp of this malevolent beast, it taunts Pingu by trapping him inside his own igloo, then grabs him by the neck and stretches him out in torturous ways, laughing the whole time, eyes rolled to the back of his head. When Pingu and his bed try to escape, the walrus grabs his bed and chomps on it like it's a candy bar. As Pingu makes a break for it, he falls down an icy slope, jostling him awake from his nightmare. Pingu weeps in his mother's arms, and that's how the episode ends. Pingu's Dream was so terrifying for kids, it was given an unofficial ban and removed from British television in 2003. But this would only be the beginning of traumatizing penguin content for this generation of kids, who years later would show up to school one day and be made to watch March of the Penguins. Gargoyles aimed to share a powerful message on gun safety, but while their heart was in the right place, the gun was not. In the episode Deadly Force, Broadway catches a spaghetti western at the movie theater, then swoops in to visit his cop friend Elisa, who's cooking dinner. While in a Wild West frenzy, he spots her gun hanging on the coat rack, whips it out, and accidentally shoots her. She's bleeding out on the kitchen floor, so he flies her to the hospital. They can't get a pulse, she's in surgery for 10 hours, and the doctor gives a full rundown. The bullet hit high in her chest, ricocheted off the collarbone, nicked the heart muscle, and passed through the right lung, and it had to be removed from the base of her spine. Then she goes into cardiac arrest. They jab her with a massive needle and hit her with a defibrillator. Jesus Christ, guys, this is a kid's show. Eventually, she pulls through. Elisa apologizes for leaving her gun out. Broadway apologizes for shooting her. As you do. This episode is heavy on the educational gun safety message and clearly meant well, but television watchdog groups said it was way too violent for kids. Soon, Toon Disney banned it from reruns until an edited version removed the scene of Elisa lying in a pool of blood. In the following episodes, Elisa has to use crutches, and without this episode, no kid would have any clue why. An episode of the harmless Pokemon cartoon caused almost 700 kids to be hospitalized. The incident, known as the Pokemon Shock, happened during the episode Dino Senshi Porygon that aired in December 1997. It features Ash and the gang entering cyberspace to stop Team Rocket, who have stolen a prototype Porygon. While inside, Pikachu's Thunderbolt attack causes an explosion, making the screen flash red and blue at about 12 times per second. The visual effects caused seizures in a significant number of viewers, leading to 685 kids getting sent to the hospital, and the total number who reported symptoms of blurred vision, headaches, dizziness, and nausea was about 12,000 children. But the real victim was Nintendo's stock, which fell 3%, and the Pokemon series went on a 4-month hiatus, with the Porygon episode never airing again. I believe there's an alternate universe somewhere out there where this episode single-handedly topples the Pokemon empire right here in 1997. And it did forever change Japanese television. After the incident, a message would play before all episodes of television, warning viewers to not sit too close to the screen and to only watch in a bright room. Porygon became the fall man and was never seen in an episode again. But in 2020, their official Twitter account cracked a joke, tweeting, "Porygon did nothing wrong," which is true because it's Pikachu's attack that technically caused the flashing lights, not Porygon. Still, the tweet was deleted quickly after, so I guess it was still too soon. This cartoon starts with underage drinking and ends with these little kids speedrunning their way to an early grave. Tiny Toon Adventures was an iteration of Looney Tunes that focused on the next generation of cartoon characters still in their formative years. In the segment One Beer, things kick off when the gang finds a bottle of beer in the fridge and decide to teach the audience a valuable lesson about the evils of alcohol. They take the bottle to a public park, split one beer between the three of them, and immediately become blackout drunk. From here, they make a tear through town, bust into their school, steal a cop car, and take it on a joyride up Death Mountain on a winding cliffside road marked with warning signs before careening off the mountain and crashing straight into a graveyard where they die. Beyond just being general rapscallions, the gang took this one beer and escalated it into a life of crime, breaking at least 4 laws. The ending uses a twist on the "it was all just a dream" trope, revealing it was all an anti-drinking PSA to show kids that drinking is bad, and everyone's reaction was, "Hey, you can't do that. Drinking is bad." I feel like there's been plenty of tongue-in-cheek references to these sort of topics in kids' shows, but I don't know of any more direct, no subtlety, in-your-face depictions of alcohol like this before. It only aired once on Fox Kids and was originally left off the DVD release until Warner Brothers added it back in the last minute. So as dark as this episode is, it doesn't even seem to be officially banned anymore. This cartoon tried to end its series with an act of war. TaleSpin follows Baloo from The Jungle Book as a carefree cargo pilot, and in the series finale, he is duped into delivering a bomb to the home of a foreign leader. The attempted assassination would then spark a war, which this bomb factory could profit off of, because nobody does war profiteering better than the Disney Channel. Most of the episode has Baloo stuck trying to teach the world's most incompetent head of the Air Force how to fly a plane, while also racing the clock to deliver what he thinks is a harmless housewarming gift. Oh, that'll warm the house right up. So great, look what you did. Now Baloo is on the terror watch list, and Disney had to pull Flying Dupes immediately after it aired in 1992. It was scrubbed from reruns, home releases, and it's not even on Disney Plus today either. But it did somehow sneak back on air one other time in in 1999 for Toon Disney, which was supposedly done by mistake. TaleSpin tried to go out with a bang, but missed its target so badly it was left without any series finale at all. This episode was deemed too gross for television. In the Clarence episode Straight Illin, an escalating series of dares lead to Clarence eating 500 deviled eggs. The next day, he shows up to school looking like death. Everyone's disgusted, no one wants to be near him, and the whole episode is basically Clarence just glooping around while the rest of the school tries not to vomit. Sad to think that Cool Hand Clarence here accepts this dare just to get people to like him, but it backfires and makes everyone repulsed by him. And that repulsion pervaded through the TV screen as viewers found Straight Illin way too gross for comfort and collectively gave it the lowest rating of the season on IMDb. Even before it aired, Cartoon Network had to cut 3 scenes for being too gross. Sounds like fans would prefer not to see Straight Illin on their TV again, and Cartoon Network granted their wish, taking the episode behind the barn and putting it down after airing. I didn't think it was unusually gross, but my natural state is to already be grossed out by deviled eggs. And if you didn't think deviled eggs were gross before, then maybe watching this episode might enlighten you. I say don't ban this episode. Go straight to the heart and ban deviled eggs. This Mickey Mouse cartoon was so horrifying, several countries refused to play it. In the 1933 short, The Mad Doctor, it's a dark and stormy night when Mickey wakes up to see Pluto being kidnapped by a dark hooded figure, dragging him through the woods and across a rickety bridge towards a haunted castle. Pluto howls with fear as he's pulled into a laboratory of horror. Mickey is close behind, but once he's inside, he faces unimaginable horrors. Bats, sinister shadows, stair skeletons, spider skeletons, evil clocks, endless ladders, doors that only open to more doors. This is relentlessly evil. Pluto is then strapped into a chair as the hooded figure reveals himself to be a mad doctor. A weeping hen is chained to the wall, and the doctor's plan is to surgically fuse them together into some freakish dog-chicken hybrid for science. But it all just ends up being a dream. These Mickey shorts were usually played in theaters between movies, but this one was considered so disturbing that many theaters refused to show it at all. Entire countries even banned it, including England, as well as, of all places, Nazi Germany. The Mad Doctor sat in the Disney vault for so long, Disney ended up letting the copyright on it lapse, which means as of this year, it's one of the few Mickey Mouse products in the public domain. Disney is notoriously Scrooge-like with their intellectual property, but when it was time to defend the one short that involves medical experimentation on a dog, they told the public, you could have it. Then over 60 years later, the short was recreated into a level in the Mickey Mania video game. In this banned episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles called Insane in the Membrane, mad scientist Baxter Stockman has undergone such horrific torture and body mutilation at the hands of the Shredder that his entire existence is now just a brain floating in a chemical vat. Desperate to regain his human body, he creates a clone of himself to transfer his consciousness into. It works for about 5 seconds, then the body immediately begins to rot and fall apart, and what follows is one of the most grotesque things ever animated for children. Skin peeling, decayed arms falling off, jaws detaching, nails being hammered into limbs, and soldering body parts together. And when it's clear his experiment has failed, the scientist completely loses it, decides it's all somehow April O'Neil's fault, and kidnaps her, leading to a final showdown with the Turtles. As a tragic horror story, I think this really works. As a kid's cartoon airing in between commercials of Sunny D and Slip and Slide, I'm not so sure. What's wild is that this episode originally passed all of Fox's broadcast standards, but after a staff shakeup at the network, the new team took one look at Stockman's decomposing body and said, oh, no, we won't be airing this. Even the show's own producer kind of agreed with them after the fact. Insane in the Membrane remained banned in the US for nearly a decade until Nickelodeon picked up the rights to TMNT and aired it on the Nicktoons channel in 2015. It's time for another round of our favorite game, Republican? In the 2019 Arthur episode titled Mr. Ratburn and the Special Someone, Mr. Ratburn invites his class to attend his wedding. Initially, the kids are nervous, believing he's getting married to a woman they find pretty intimidating. Their fears subside when they learn that the woman is actually his sister, and he's actually marrying a nice man with bad dance moves named Patrick. While the episode was praised for its positive representation of LGBT relationships, Alabama Public Television said, whoa, those dance moves are so awful we can't broadcast this episode as it would be a violation of trust with parents in the state. They banned the episode from airing, worried that kids seeing a happy gay couple would corrupt them. But this isn't even the first time Arthur got the axe. In the season 12 episode Room to Ride, Binky gets inspired to start cycling after watching the beloved cyclist Lance Armstrong win his 7th consecutive Tour de France. When Binky crashes his bike because of a pothole, he and his friends campaign for safer streets and new bike lanes, and Binky has a chance encounter with the Lance Armstrong in his rabbit form. Unfortunately, after Armstrong admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs and was banned from professional cycling for life, PBS decided Rabbit Lance was no longer a kid-friendly role model. So they banned this perfectly fine pro-bike episode too. This Tom and Jerry short was too depressing to air on TV. In Blue Cat Blues, Tom falls head over heels for a cat lady, so hard in fact that when it doesn't work out, he decides to end it all. Throughout the short, Tom basically throws his whole life away trying to win her over, even blowing his life savings on jewelry and a car for her, but nothing he does can woo her. She ends up choosing a richer cat, leaving Tom alone, broke, and spiraling. He turns to booze to numb the pain and eventually just sits himself down on the train tracks, waiting for the end. Jerry watches from a distance and pities him, grateful that his girl loves him, until he sees that she too has fallen for a different man. So he joins Tom on the tracks side by side as the sound of an oncoming train grows louder. And roll credits! A lot of rumors online claim this was the series finale to Tom and Jerry, which is not correct, but the tone of this short was definitely way out of left field for the series and felt very final. And to be fair, these old shorts weren't originally made for TV or even for kids, but they eventually became Saturday morning cartoons, which is why Blue Cat Blues basically never aired in the US at all. So please don't yell at me in the comments or I'll have to grab a seat next to these two. You know things are tense in the country when even the Bubble Guppies aren't safe from police controversy. After the murder of George Floyd, Nickelodeon took a pretty bold stand by going completely off the air for exactly 8 minutes and 46 seconds, symbolizing the length of time George Floyd was pinned down by police. The network also chose to remove some of their police-related television content. One of those was the Bubble Guppies episode, The Police Competition. From what I found, it's not that this is some crazy pro-cop propaganda. It's really just cartoon characters singing and dancing, teaching kids about the roles of a police officer, like directing traffic and stuff. But it probably would have been weird to air an episode like this right after going off the air in the fight against police brutality. And interestingly enough, it sounds like the episode was reinstated the week I'm writing this video, airing on the morning of July 7th for the first time in 5 years. So I guess the heat's died down enough for Gil and Molly to explain the dangers of brushing your teeth while driving, which I had no idea counted as a distracted driving offense, but hey, good on Nickelodeon for keeping our roads safer, even if they're doing it from underwater. This cartoon was blamed for a fire that took the life of a 2-year-old girl. It started with Beavis and Butthead, the infamous MTV cartoon known by parents for warping the minds of kids and teenagers. In the episode Comedians, the duo throw their hat in the ring as stand-up chameleons, bomb horribly, and then Beavis lights some newspapers on fire and juggles them, causing the whole comedy club to burn down, which they think is hilarious. A month after this episode aired, a 5-year-old boy in Ohio set fire to his family's mobile home while playing with a lighter. He, his mom, and her boyfriend made it out of the home, but his 2-year-old sister did not. The mom blamed Beavis and Butthead, saying the episode made her son obsessed with matches. She said she even had to take his bedroom door off the hinges to keep an eye on him at all times. This wasn't the first time B&B was accused of sparking real-world fires. Just 2 months earlier, 3 girls caused a fire in their house after watching an episode with a character lighting someone's hair on fire and wanted to try it too. So MTV pushed Beavis and Butthead's usual time slot of 7 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. and edited out any scenes involving fire. They also slapped a disclaimer on every episode that Beavis and Butthead are not role models, they're not even humans, they're cartoons. Just to add an extra line in there, their names are Beavis and Butthead. This was the story for about 15 years until 2008, when the boy, who was now 20 years old, confirmed the show was not at fault for the tragedy, because not only had he never watched Beavis and Butthead before, he would have had no way to watch it in the first place because his family didn't even have cable. Also, I'm totally aware that Beavis and Butthead is not technically a kid's show, but when I first read that story, I kind of thought it was too crazy to leave out of this video. Imagine plopping your child in front of the television on Saturday morning and seeing on the TV screen a woman wearing nothing but sticks of dynamite. That's exactly what happened in 1996, thanks to The Mask animated series. The original movie The Mask made a ton of money, thanks to Jim Carrey and producer Bob Engelman, who might be my dad? Hello? So of course cashing in on a television series made sense. Going the kids cartoon route for The Mask was already walking a weird tightrope, but it seemed to work out except for the episode Flight as a Feather. The Mask mask is getting ready for a karaoke contest when his lucky fedora feather floats away. Chasing after the feather lands him right in the middle of all sorts of hijinks going on around town, including an explosive confrontation between a politician and his angry mistress, Cookie Baboom. The mayor had recently dumped her because of her career as a stripper, worried she might tarnish his squeaky clean public image. So Cookie crashes this town hall ceremony wearing nothing but dynamite with the intent of blowing up herself and the mayor. The mask manages to defuse the bomb by tossing all of the sticks of dynamite into a blender and downing it like a smoothie, then makes his escape, distracting law enforcement by undressing Cookie and making them go googly eyes. This weird combo of violent and sexual content was a bit too much for a show aimed at 7-year-olds. So of all the reasons why an episode of a kid's show might be banned from television, a naked suicide bomber might be the easiest reason to pinpoint. The Bob the Builder episode Travis and the Tropical Fruits was banned on PBS Kids in the United States because the episode talked too much about horse poop and how stinky it is. From My Gym Partner's a Monkey, the episode The Butt of the Jake was pulled from Cartoon Network for being too vulgar and butt-filled for younger audiences. The episode The Kitchen Casanova from What a Cartoon was pulled from the air because a character chops his own finger off while making dinner. I didn't think it was that bad, but if you ask me, that's one of the least grotesque things about this episode. That includes the same character later shoving his arms into a pot of boiling water, then eating the most vile meal I've ever seen with his date, and then finishing it off by eating the dinner table itself. Quite a few episodes of Pokemon have been banned, 2 of the most famous coming from the first season, one being Dino Senshi Porygon. Then even worse, the episode Beauty and the Beach was banned in America because it featured James with a giant pair of inflatable boobs. An edited version eventually aired in the US and was hyped up as the legendary Lost episode, proving you can turn any controversy into opportunity. Rocko's Modern Life had an episode Hef in a Handbasket, where Heifer applies to be on a game show and unknowingly signs his soul away to the devil. There's nothing subtle about it. The phone number is 6666. The game show itself is called 666, with contestants needing exactly 666 points to win. It was later pulled from Teen Nick because its depictions of hell and the fact that a main character sells his soul to the devil, which I could see as being a little intense for kids, but it was probably more scary for some of the parents. This episode was tailor-made from the nightmares of that lady who's afraid of Monster energy drinks, but eventually parents got over their fear of spooky numbers and Nickelodeon reinstated Hef in a Handbasket back into rotation in 2021. And Unhappy Camper from Augie and the Cockroaches made a lot of parents unhappy when they noticed the most obvious pair of exposed boobs that have ever been displayed in a kid's cartoon. The scandal even made its way up to TMZ. Nickelodeon banned the episode temporarily until the picture could be replaced with a more kid-friendly photo of a beach. Don't worry, hopefully my videos are not gonna get banned anytime soon, so if you enjoyed this video, you should subscribe so that I'll have more subscribers. And if you wanna see more videos from me, check out my last one where we talk about a bunch of marketing stunts that went horribly wrong. I'll see you in this other video, and I don't know, let's do this again sometime.